We are ready for round 6 of the BP Ultimate Supercars All-Stars E-Series. Thank you for joining us live and exclusive on Fox Sports for Armour All qualifying. And we are set to go back to Texas, where the series visited for real back in 2013. Jonathan Simon, iRacing expert and pit reporter with me, ready to go for qualifying tonight. This is one cool racetrack.
Certainly is a circuit Supercars visited back in 2013. It was the last time Supercars visited the United States of America and the last time the series actually visited around outside of Australia and New Zealand, and we're here to replicate it back in the virtual world.
Yeah, hard to believe that was 7 years ago. We've got a full field of 31 drivers tonight, which includes some huge names. Lando Norris, which is line 4, position 3 there, is back once again, the McLaren F1 superstar. We welcome Austin Cindric from Team Penske to the game tonight. He's driving for the Ford Performance team. Hey, Austin, loving the old school jukebox tucked away there in the corner as well. 6 wildcards to take that up to 31, like we mentioned, including this legend, Craig Lowndes, and it just wouldn't be the Supercars E-Series without a couple of dogs ready to go for the action tonight as well. So CL's brought the puppy power with him tonight to hopefully see him up the grid, part of a 4-car operation for the Red Bull Holden Racing team. I'm loving the yellow gold wheels, by the way. So if you're new to this, we're running the same format that we ran a week ago at Spa, a 20-minute Armour All qualifying session straight in to an Armour All Top 10 shootout. At the moment, it's Anton De Pasquale on top. You can follow along those times in the left-hand side on the totem. With 13 minutes to go, there's still plenty of time here, Jonathan, to set a lap. We go racing from 7 p.m. tonight, live with the crew up in Sydney, including Jess and the boys. And there'll be 3 races tonight, very similar to what we saw last week.
And if you're new to the coverage, welcome along to virtual racing for the Supercars series. This will determine grid slots 11 onwards, but it also determines the top 10 that will make it through to the Armour All shootout later on in our coverage today. One wild card returning is Will Power, and the last time he was in our series was for round 3 at Mount Panorama, made the shootout and qualified very well in the Penske racing machine.
Just a little bit of oversteer to deal with. He's in the 2nd sector at the moment. 3 sectors on this circuit, which is a little bit more familiar for our Supercars fans. One driver cranking properly sideways, going through turns 11 and 12 on the infield. One Penske driver to another. Here comes Scott McLaughlin. So like we said, 3 sectors make up a lap here, similar to what we're used to seeing in Supercars in the real world, as opposed to what we saw last time out at Spa and also Bathurst, where we've had some Armour All shootouts with a much longer lap in multiple sectors. So we'll try and update you throughout the course of the night, particularly in the Armour All shootout, as to who's on top and who's laying down the good lap times.
Now, he's decided to escape from his lap, and as we discuss each week, that will reset your fuel to the default 65 litres. There's been a lot of fans during the week asking, are the cars limited to 65 litres? They are not. So if a driver wants to fill it up to a full tank for better balance, they can, but you can lose upwards of 1 second to your lap time. What you saw from ADP was he made a pit stop, by the way, as we watch Hazelwood run very deep through the penultimate corners. He made a pit stop, is trying to run the car lighter to gain the extra tenths at the end of the session.
Track limits was a big topic last week out in Belgium as we check in with Davey Reynolds and the Penrite Racing Commodore. There was 2 probably parts to that topic. One was in Armour All qualifying and in the shootout in particular, with a lot of drivers losing their lap times, and then also in the races with them burning up their incident points towards the end of the race. Because we're on essentially a Grand Prix style circuit, albeit the shortened version that we ran on in 2013, do we expect to see something similar for that tonight as we check in with Chaz Mostert?
There's a few places you can pick them up here for sure. Through the middle sector, definitely through the S's, even through this final sector that Chaz Mostert's heading through right now. He's done a couple of purple sectors, so let's see how he fares. He's currently down the order in qualifying, and now he's made the shootout too. He's one of 6 drivers to make both our Armour All shootouts this season, and we'll see if he can continue the trend today as we head through the multi-apex final few corners here, modelled upon Istanbul's turn number 8. And here's this penultimate corner, Chad. We watched IndyCar here last year run very wide, and it was legal.
Yeah, so can't do that tonight. You will lose your lap time. Expect to see it a little bit during the racing as drivers burn up some 1Xs potentially. And this has been a really clean lap. I know Matt White often says one of the things he loves about this series is unmasking the drivers and seeing their facial expressions on a lap. Never knew Chaz pulled those faces when he was driving. He swears these are the similar sort of expressions that you'll see from a driver when they're racing for real under the helmet. So good lap time from Chaz takes him up to 5th. Is it going to be enough to get him into the Armour All shootout?
So we're expecting low 1 minute 30s to be safe to make the shootout for sure. A mid 1 minute 30 should be okay, and that's where a lot of your leaders are at the moment, but expect those lap times to decrease and become quicker. We were running about 1 minute 31s, 32s here back in 2013. Although a very hot day there, a lot of grip available for the drivers too. And here's Monster Energy Racing's Cam Waters, who is second on our Coates Hire leaderboard coming into this round in the championship.
Working on a little bit of isolation 5 o'clock shadow there for Cameron Waters.
It's a lot.
Just chipping away as he has been all series long, racking up the podiums, collecting the points. It's been super consistent, trying to make another Armour All shootout here today. If you want to get yourself up inside the top 10 spots, you've got to go quicker than Jack LeBroc's 131.12. He's already in there with a 130.98. That's going to be vulnerable. Needs to find some more time. Verizon Shell V Power Racing and Will Power. If you're an IndyCar fan and you followed the season closely last year, you would have seen how dominant Will Power was at this circuit, on the longer version of the circuit, only to be so cruelly denied the victory late in the race. Did pick up the pole there last year as well. Goes very well in Texas.
Holds a lap record here in an IndyCar, but that was around the full Grand Prix venue. Comes across the line now and heads into 6th. That should be okay to hopefully get him into the shootout, but he set a 1 minute 30.9 there, and like I said, Chad, a high 1 minute 30 isn't going to be safe, but it should be okay to give you a top 10 spot to head to that Armour All shootout.
Here's Lando Norris looking very nice at the moment with a 1 minute 30.55, and he's within 11 thousandths of a second of Anton De Pasquale. How tight are those top 3 spots? So great start to his Armour All qualifying so far for Lando, and he was very dominant here in the IndyCar iRacing race a couple of weeks ago.
Nice.
How cool is this? Garth Tander on the full motion sim at Melbourne Performance Centre, and that is a very impressive setup. One of a few full motion simulators in the country, and a great tool for anyone going to MPC to come up to terms with running particularly GT style cars, which is why they have that GT style wheel. Garth looking in the zone for a big night tonight. One of the 4 Red Bull Holden racing cars, and I love that they've gone for the separate colour wheels tonight so you can tell them all apart. Garth is team blue.
Now what was Lowndes again? Yellow.
Yellow, bright yellow.
Craig Lowndes. Great to see him back in the series. 2 series champions here. 1 time for Garth Tander, all the way back in 2007. Craig Lowndes, of course, in the late 90s. Can't believe when you look at Craig Lowndes' resume, he doesn't have about 9 titles to his name. He was that successful. It almost seems like he's got robbed over the course of his career, but he's a legend in supercars racing. Is Lowndes, as we watch Macaulay Jones, who's been pretty impressive, let me tell you. He's improved his pace week to week the past couple of rounds. He's currently on an outlap, though, as he begins a run here. We still have plenty of time remaining in the session, over 7 minutes. It's about a minute 30 lap, like we said, so if you can leave the pits with about a minute 45 remaining, you should squeeze 1 more lap in come the end.
So Austin Cindric escaping back to the pits the quick way. That last time, a 131.69, improves his position up to 22nd. Goes well on the road courses over there in America. He's a race winner in both the Xfinity Series and the NASCAR Truck Series. Here's Josh Fife, part of a 5-car Brad Jones Racing stable tonight. Huge, huge effort from that entire team to field 5 simulators, let alone sometimes in a race weekend they could have 5 or 6 actual race cars competing. But very cool to see the 19-year-old from Canberra on the grid, the only teenager in the field. He was 12 when we raced in Texas for real back in 2013, so very, very young.
We've got a mix of wild cards this week, the veterans, the old guys, and the young. And as I say that, Anton De Pasquale climbs to P number 1 on the timing screens. Scott McLaughlin looking good in the sectors too to make up a couple of spots here as we ride on board with Josh Fife through the final couple of corners here. 4.1 kilometers around the circuit. And this is the 18th and final corner as Scott McLaughlin climbs into 3rd with that improvement. That should be safe to make the shootout.
Nice lap from Scotty Mack, jumping Lando Norris. De Pasquale, Van Gisbergen, McLaughlin, the big 3 sit 1st to 3rd, and Fife completing his lap as well, and currently sits 18th. So nice lap from Josh Fife, right in there with Zane Goddard and Macaulay Jones. And just behind Todd Hazelwood, who's the #1 placed Brad Jones Racing driver at the moment. Was just about to pose the question, where is Nick Percat? Because Nick has landed his Dunlop Super Dealer Commodore in both of the Armor All shootouts so far. That last time by was 33-1, so not where he wants to be. A 31.5 his best. He needs to find about half a second if he's going to make the shootout today.
Yeah, I'm looking at the cutoff time by Jack LeBrock, a 31.1. That's not safe at all right there. And he's got Jake Kostecki, Andre Heimgartner looking to climb into the top 10. Will Davison made the shootout last week. He's in 13th, ready to improve. Keep an eye on the likes of Todd Hazelwood as well. But so far, it looks like everybody in at least your top 6, 7 spots should be okay there, up until Bryce Forward, definitely. But for Will Power, you've got to get another run here in these final laps. Everybody on a frantic set of outlaps here. And with our biggest field so far in the E-Series, Chad, last week we had 30 drivers. This week, 31 drivers to share 90 seconds worth of racetrack. There's almost not one single bit of clear air available for them out there.
You're getting a lap in the traffic. Very, very difficult. It's a different qualifying style to what we would see in Armor All qualifying in the Virgin Australia Supercars Championship, where we usually break the field into smaller segments, so there's only 10 to 14 cars on track at any one time. SVG with the white wheels. And starting, actually just finishing a lap at 1 minute 30.47, so an improvement. Closes the gap to Anton De Pasquale and then gets very sideways exiting turn 1 as he tries to find a nice spot on the road to escape back to the pits. He has time for one more out lap and hot lap. So De Pasquale still on top from SVG, and McLaughlin the top 3. Norris, Mostert, Fullwood, Power. Gee, there's some big names in the shootout at the moment. Lee Holdsworth, Waters and LeBrock, 3 Tickford cars to finish off the 10. So McLaughlin is hustling through the end of the first sector and onto this short back chute. Top of the circuit, you can use first or second gear for this slow left-hand corner, and then into the infield section. This is turn 11 and 12, double right-hander.
Modelled upon, oh, he's pulled off the racetrack there. So with minimal time remaining, he's just going to reset the fuel. And the only reason drivers would do that is, yes, it's slower in terms of lap time, but you get more hot laps in. I think if you're truly confident, you'll make race pit stops the same way Anton De Pasquale is doing right now. And for McLaughlin, I think he's safe anyway. I think you'd just be out there to stay in rhythm, because remember, if you qualify in the top 3, Chad, you won't be driving for about another 20 minutes until you head out for the shootout, even more, even half an hour. So you want to keep yourself in rhythm and keep yourself warm.
Lee Holdsworth is dangerously close to the drop zone at the moment. He sits 8th ahead of his 2 Tickford teammates. There's really not a lot in it down there. And he does find a precious few hundredths and leapfrogs Will Power, so a good lap from the Truck Assist Mustang. Back to Lowndes with the gold wheels. This is going to be a difficult night for Craig. He's not used to the sim racing game, similar to his old buddy Janie Whincup, but desperately wanted to be a part of this over the last few weeks. So very cool to have him here at a track where he went really well at back in 2013 with a bunch of second place finishes.
Scored multiple podiums there for sure, as we watch the Mobile One Middies entry here. Mobile One Appliances entry, I should say, excuse me, of Chaz Mostert, who's on a purple sector for sector number 1. Now heading through the stadium section here at the Circuit of the Americas. This section designed and based upon the Hockenheim Stadium section, but it was made slower to give the fans a greater opportunity to see the cars for a longer time, as this corner is so critical to get traction out of here and on towards this long turns 15 and 16 on the racetrack. This would be 17 and 18 in the Grand Prix venue, hugging the inside nice and perfectly. And you can see the darkened tarmac. That's a feature on iRacing. The racing lines are rubbered in. That's the quickest lines you want to take. He's approaching traffic here to end his run. He should be safe anyway, and the traffic has caused him to pick up an immense amount of understeer. The dirty air effect didn't help, and he's lost at least a few tenths from that mistake.
So 130.7 was his best, and that's cost him 130.8, and that was his chance to jump up the leaderboard. Just caught Gary Jacobson at a really awkward time on the lap. Mike Winterbottom showing some green sector times and improves 131.47 for the Irwin Tools car. So nice job from Frosty. moves himself up to 17th position. Not seen Frosty in a shootout just yet this season, but working away with the Simrigs entry to try and get himself up the order a little bit further as well. 12th, his best qualifying effort in Armour All back at Monza in the very first week of the E-Series.
And so look at the drivers in the pit lane on our timing screens. SVG, his session done. Scott McLaughlin's pulled it in. Lando Norris is into the pit lane. Anton de Pasquale's run is coming towards an end here, but he's safe. It's all about that 10th position. Will Jack LeBrock make it to the shootout for the first time this season? Or will the likes of Jake Kostecki? How about Andre Heimgartner, who made the shootout at Bathurst? Will Davison, who made the shootout at Spa? They're still on hot runs here to end the session.
There's still a few drivers, absolutely, who could knock some of the big names out of this Armour All Top 10 shootout. Matt Stone Racing, yellow cover. Number 35 Commodore of Gary Jacobson is one to watch. He misses the apex, similar to Chaz Mostert going through the last corner. He rolls his head back in frustration. 14th is where he'll start. Couldn't get the improvement he needed. And by running it that wide as well, he actually lost the lap too. So would have been an improvement, not enough to get him into the shootout anyway. Is there anyone else with an answer for Jack LeBrock, who's stuck on the bubble and has been there for minutes and might just be safe?
Now, Nick Percat behind the scenes is possibly talking about SVG or even Fabian Coulthard possibly impeding his lap. So we'll get some news on that later on. Hard to see what he said there, but they're having a discussion behind the scenes, the drivers. So we'll wait and see and give you more information on that come the end of this. How about Macaulay Jones to end the session here? It's going to be a long way up the order. Coulthard improves to 20th. Jones up to 16th. It improves his grid position for the race, but not enough to make our Armour All shootout.
And that'll just about be the session run. Checkered flag has flown in the hands of Barney the Flagman at the amazing Circuit of the Americas complex in Austin, Texas. And it's Anton de Pasquale on our BP Ultimate results, who has topped the session, 54 thousandths between he and Shane van Gisbergen. So the two drivers who have taken every single Armour All pole so far this year are squaring off once again. It looks to be a showdown between those two in the Armour All shootout. But have a look at the big names that we've got coming up in this top 10 shootout. How cool is that?
Can't wait for it. Jack LeBrock is the only new driver to make the Armour All shootout. So good stuff from him for the first time this season. You can see down the order, Macaulay Jones improving in the last moments to 16th. And now this is the bottom end of our top 30. 31 drivers to share our grid for our 3 races this evening.
Yeah, very cool to have such a big grid here tonight, ready to go as part of the BP Ultimate Supercars All-Stars E-Series. And if you want to be a part of this competition, well, the cool part is you can. We're going to run one very lucky fan on the grid for round 8 of the championship. Head to supercars.com/BP wildcard for more info. The competition ends Monday the 18th. Close to 10 a.m. and that is going to be a wicked opportunity to go and drive that amazing, beautiful looking BP Ultimate Mustang. Stick around, we're going to go head first into Armour All Top 10 shootout. The shootouts are always a lot of fun. Do not go anywhere.
Have you always wanted to be a supercars commentator? Well, now's your chance, thanks to Shaw, presented by Jams. Head to the Supercars Facebook page tomorrow and post a video of yourself commentating over the Supplied Vision on Facebook or Instagram with the hashtags Commentate the Stars and VASC for your chance to win.
to confirm, you write through the WhatsApp when we drive out of pit lane, or is that on the actual iRacing set?
Congratulations to this week's Local Legends winner. You could also win weekly prizes across the Supercars All-Stars E-Series, including your own Local Legends simulator valued at over $10,000. To enter, share a photo holding a Local Legends pack on your Instagram or the Local Legends Facebook page with the hashtag #WinWithLocalLegends to go into the draw to win.
Nearly time to head into the Armour All Shootout tonight on the E-Series. We're racing at the Circuit of the Americas, and our 10 drivers have been locked in to tonight's top 10 shootout. And making his first shootout of the night is Jack LeBrock for Super Cheap Auto in Tickford, and he's our first Cooper's Live chat of the night. Jack, that was a really cool lap time, and this is going to be a bit of fun. You're heading out there with some big names tonight.
Yeah, no, it's pretty cool. It's actually my first ever shootout, I suppose, virtually and in the real thing. So, yeah, I don't really know what to do and how to go about it, but no, it's going to be a bit of fun.
You're working with a spotter tonight, and how's that been working for you so far? What sort of strategy can you bring into a shootout?
Yeah, I've got no idea. Yeah, I've got Timmy White, the engineer who I have back on the real tarmac, but yeah, I suppose, I don't know, let's go out there. I think the biggest thing here is so many offcuts, and the asterisk laps are so crucial here, so it'd be literally similar banker lap, and yeah, try and move up a couple of spots if we can.
All right, mate, this is your chance. Why don't you roll out onto this really cool, amazing bit of racetrack? You weren't able to race there in 2013, so eyes forward and go get them tonight.
Yeah, thank you, mate. Appreciate it.
How cool is that? Checking in with Jack LeBrock, and he's about to roll out and be the very first driver tonight for our Armour All Top 10 shootout. And this is going to be a big field of drivers ready to go. We saw so much drama at Spa a week ago. What have we got lined up tonight? Can we see a different driver to Anton De Pasquale or Shane Van Gisbergen take the Armour All pole? Has Lando Norris got something special for all his fans watching online around the world as well? Or will it be Will Power, who has dominated qualifying here for IndyCar in the past, in the Armour All Shootout tonight? He's made both the Bathurst Shootout and now this one as well. Some qualifying specialists, Jonathan, have made all three of our shootouts so far, the usual suspects, of course, but also want to send some love to the two Walkinshaw Andretti United drivers as well, particularly Bryce Forward. He's made all three of the shootouts, and that is a huge forward step for Bryce, who's only really making his rookie season in the main game this year.
And by squeezing in a lap in last week, ended up fourth on the grid on the second row. So it's very critical today, as Jack LeBrock spoke about, to adhere to the track limits. We'll let you know a multitude of places around this circuit where you can actually cut the track, Chad. And so we'll let the viewers know about that later on today, because especially those final two corners, that's what can ruin the lap.
So exactly where else on the circuit might we see that? Because there are some anti-cut curbs set up, particularly going through turns 2, 3, 4. So we welcome Jack LeBrock into the shootout to watch out for. Is it sort of self-policing with those anti-cut curbs, or could we see drivers losing lap times getting too aggressive on these curbs tonight?
Well, certainly lift two wheels in the air. It doesn't make you any quicker, in my opinion, although you take a shorter distance around the Maggots and Beckett's section of the racetrack. So let's see how the drivers fare today. Now, we may have... Do we still have Jack LeBrock on board? Because there'll be an issue possibly for him during qualifying. And he's coming towards the pit lane right now. So Jack LeBrock will be beginning his run yet again. And here he comes now. for another outlap where the degradation at this track, Chad, is a little less compared to Spa. Shorter lap, you can run at least 3 good laps here. So you don't necessarily have to take care of the rubber or the Dunlop rubber too well around here, although you won't want to use the best of it, obviously, on that outlap.
Jack was still making his way up through the junior ranks back when the series ran at Circuit of the Americas in 2013. This is that Beckett's Chapel complex of corners from turns 2 all the way up to turn 6, and then instead of taking the Formula 1 circuit on the right, you jag off down to the left. Take this little short shoot through here, which has been nicknamed the ski jump, and this has come from Emily Jones doing the Macca's track preview online today. Go and check that out. It's on all of the Supercars social pages. And that is a nickname that might just stick, the ski jump. It's really bumpy through there. I'm definitely using it for eternity at this racetrack. She did a really good job explaining the lap.
Yeah, she's very, very talented. Of course, Emily Jones raced in our E-Series last year for the best sim races in Australia, and we'll be continuing that later on through the latter parts of 2020. Now, finally, Super Cheap Auto Racing's Jack LeBrock will get going for his first hot lap of the day. We've got an Armour All shootout to come, and I really wish we had a shootout every day, Chad, because I haven't been able to sleep. I'm not kidding, for 6 nights now waiting from Spa. That was an entertaining one last week. Here he goes to begin his one and only hot lap.
Truck assist on the bonnet. Super Cheap Auto on the doors. Made the switch from Techno to Tickford this year. And finds himself in a Mustang virtually at the Circuit of the Americas. About a 20-minute drive in the real world out of Austin, Texas. This is turn 1. It's a huge uphill climb, late braking zone, then back down the hill. Turn 2 is fast, 4th gear. A little bit of patience with the mid part of that corner as you roll off the throttle and into the S's. You just want to clip those anti-cut curbs. Not quite that hard where it lifts the car up on 2 wheels though.
And you're allowed to cut this corner there. You're allowed to put your right wheels onto the curb. Keep the car within the white lines through here. Oh, that's very close to cutting the lap there. So, oh, I think he has. So he has cut the lap there at the left-hander, and that will delete his lap time.
Everything he talked about in his interview, he just did the exact opposite. He said, I just want to get a lap in. And that's all well and good until you're actually having a crack and trying to do it for real. Tried to find every last 100th of a second, and it bit him. He's in good company. We had, what, 4 or 5 drivers last week get bitten for this. We'll break the bad news to him. Jack, that one's out the window. Everything that you said you wanted to do just then in your interview didn't quite come to be.
Nah, I know. As soon as I turned it into that little corner there, it's something that's been catching me out all week. Well, every time I get on here. So, yeah, it's a little bit disappointing to go to the first shootout like that. But anyway, we're here. It was a bit of fun. So, yeah, it's all good times.
10th is still a pretty good starting spot for tonight.
Yeah, that's right. I'll take it. We can, yeah, right into the grid. So, yeah, it's all we need to do. Just keep pounding around and have a bit of fun.
You got your buddy Cam Waters fighting for this championship. He's going to be next up. What are we expecting from Cam?
He's got to go P1, doesn't he? So, no, who knows? He's been going pretty well this week, so I got some good speed, and yeah, I'm sure he'll have a good run, but we'll see how we go. Hopefully he doesn't do exactly what I did.
He's just working his way on the outlap right now. Thank you, Jack. As we get set to welcome the Mildura man, the Mildura missile, Cam Waters, to Texas. Wasn't on the grid back in 2013. Similar to Jack, he was working his way up through the junior ranks back then as well. And that is a very busy looking sim room tonight with the Monster Energy stickers stuck up everywhere. Second in the BP Ultimate point score. He's been keeping the pressure on Scott McLaughlin for the last few rounds. It hasn't been like Shane Van Gisbergen or Anton De Pasquale winning races, just accumulating the points and staying out of trouble, particularly in the reverse grid races.
He didn't even make the shootout at Mount Panorama, so he hasn't been at every Armour All shootout this season. Coming towards the final couple of corners, very abnormal final corner here. This is the lowest point of the circuit through the final 2 corners, and then look how it rises through the apex. That can really hamper the beginning to your lap here, but he's going to scream towards 250 kilometers an hour, 24.5 meter rise through to the apex at turn 1 to begin his one and only shootout lap.
So here comes Cameron Waters. Runs it all the way to the exit curb at turn 1, plunging down towards turn 2. Grab 4th gear. We said it's fast. It's about 185 kilometers per hour mid-corner through there. Need to be smooth but quick through here. Fabian Coulthard mentioned in his track preview for the Shell V-Power Racing team that you can make up a bunch of time through the S's. Over the ski jump, back end of the car gets crooked, but it's legal. And it's oversteering under the short chute down the back straight. Does he use first or second gear through here? Needs a little slight correction of the steering wheel. All the way out into the infield part of the section. It's turn 11 and 12.
Oh man, so difficult to get traction out of there. That's a weird line. Hugging the inside through the braking zone of turn 14. It's going to cost him a bit of time trying to straighten up the car on the exit. Hug the inside through here. That's where all the camber on the track is for the Monster Energy Racing driver. Couple more corners to go. This is where the lap can be lost if you run wide through this penultimate corner. He gets it right though. One corner to go for Waters.
Now Jack LeBrock's name is not on the shootout leaderboard on the left-hand side yet as he lost his lap time. Cam Waters will be the first to join the party. Looking for 1 minute 30 lap times. He goes 1:31.6. It's always difficult in an Armour All shootout. Not a bad lap time. Rear end looked a little bit lively, but overall, nice job from Cam Waters. And this is just one of the sections where we saw the rear end of that Mustang slipping out. Cameron, talk us through that lap.
Yeah, look, that wasn't the last lap I had, but one a bit wide. Yeah, just wanted to make sure I didn't get any shortcuts then to make sure I got ninth. So, yeah, it is what it is, mate. I'm, yeah, looking forward to it.
Got some huge names from not just World Motorsport, but Aussie Motorsport tonight. You're looking forward to going toe-to-toe with some of those guys?
Yeah, for sure. It's been, yeah, obviously awesome to be racing Will from IndyCar and obviously Lando last week at Spa was, yeah, a lot of fun. So, yeah, really cool to have those kind of guys, so those caliper joining us and, yeah, duking it out.
All right, best of luck for tonight. We'll let Cam Waters get his plan of attack ready for the first of the three big races, and one of those big names that he mentioned is rolling up to the plate. Verizon Shell V-Power Racing Will Power. Not many drivers using virtual reality in this series. Will is one of them. He's been very busy already, running in a essentially big invitational for the Penske drivers to try and raise some money using Verizon's big online community in what was a really cool project that they completed this morning called the Pay It Forward Live online competition, which was run between the Penske drivers. And they've been helping Verizon raise money for small businesses during the COVID-19 crisis in America. And they've been raising a lot of money up there, upwards of $7.5 million. So a really cool effort of those guys, and worth the shout out as Will Power starts his lap at a circuit that he is very, very fast at.
Look at the drop through turn 1, 20-meter drop through there. iRacing's laser scanned every millimeter of undulation around here as he climbs through a section based upon the Maggots-Beckett section at Silverstone, which we visited for round 2. Turn off the Formula 1 venue and through this little short chute, the ski jump as it's known, very fast, much faster than Cam Waters. He's gone purple through the first 2 sectors.
Not sure how much skiing you'd get done in Texas, but either way, I like it. Cool to have him back in the championship. That's a wild card. Was really quick at Bathurst, ran with the front pack all night. Qualified 5th as well in the Armour All shootout, which was a huge effort considering this is a totally different race car to what he's used to driving.
And he jumped into the shootout at the last moments too, much like Bryce Forward last week. A few more corners to go though for Power, and I think for him right now, he's just got to nail this lap and hope that those coming up after him make mistakes. This looks like a good time so far. Looking at the sectors, we could see potentially our first 1 minute 30 for the day.
Couple of purple sectors. Remember, purple means quickest in the session so far. So at least to the second sector, he was up on Cam Waters. He drives it to the stripe. Can he get into the 30s? Not quite. 31 flat for Will Power. 31.00. And that is exactly 0.66 quicker than the time from Cam Waters. Clean lap, just getting one on the board, as we proved last week in Belgium, can be half the battle. And pulls the car over, quits back to the pits. Nicely done for Will Power. So we have a benchmark lap, a 1 minute 31.00. Proof that it's always difficult to go as fast as you went in your actual Armour All qualifying lap. That's 700 slower than what he went earlier. Speaking of time, let's check in with Will Power. I'm almost too afraid to ask this question right now. What's the time over there, buddy?
Hang on, I've got to get in.
He sounds a bit sleepy. Can you hear us well?
Oh, sorry. Sorry, I thought I was... Yeah, can you hear me?
We're just saying, what time is it on the east coast of America right now?
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, very sleepy.
Very sleepy. You guys are raising some money with Verizon this morning as well, so it's already been a big day for you.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great what they're doing over here for small business, and plenty of time in the sim. In much.
Someone get that man a coffee. I'll let you get back to it. Thanks, Will. Good luck tonight.
Yeah. Thank you.
Let's move it over to Lee Holdsworth now in the Truck Assist Mustang. It's been a Mustang show to kick off Armour All qualifying in the shootout so far. That man just gave us a 1 minute 31.0, and I'm pretty sure he's still asleep.
I think he's got 2 seconds in him, I think.
That was amazing.
Instead of 28, possibly. Now, excuse me, before I did say Jack LeBrock was the only driver to make the shootout for the first time. Holdsworth is also part of that lineup, so incorrect facts by me. Not a good start to the shootout coverage, but here is Holdsworth to head into turn 1 to begin his lap.
All right, one of the Supercars veterans. Driving at Tickford these days, but was with Erebus back in 2013 when Supercars Circus made the trip to the Northern Hemisphere for the one and only stop in the Americas. And for Lee, it was a tough weekend. A pair of 20ths was the best it got in an overheating race car and a very, very hot weekend in Texas.
Not a good start to the lap so far. He's run very deep there. He's taken the real life line that he used here back 7 years ago, but I think it's much quicker in the sim to hug the inside through that section. He's gone green. Of course, he's only set 2 times, but it's not quicker than Will Power so far. So this should slot him hopefully at least second ahead of Cam Waters, but this end of the lap, it's just looking very tedious.
Running the inside up towards the second of the left-handers, which is turn 14. Need to be careful not to drag the left front virtual Dunlop tyre up through there. Like you mentioned, this long multi-apex right-hander, turn 15 and 16, modelled on turn 8 at Istanbul Park, where Formula 1 used to run. And then into the last sector, turn 17 and 18. You know, Kevin Schwantz helped design this track, former world motorcycle champion as well, which is pretty cool. It's been a staple part of the MotoGP circus as well, and Marc Marquez's personal playground, this place. As Lee Holdsworth completes the lap, and it's a 1:31.2. Not a bad lap time, 4/10 up on Cam Waters, so the speed was there.
The final sector went purple, even though it looked tedious through the stadium section. So good stuff from Holdsworth, his first shootout lap for the season.
Check in with Lee. He's racing at Dream Simulations, which is Tom Randall's big sim setup. Have you got the movement on tonight, mate?
Nah, I can't deal with the movement. It makes a lot of people that love the movement, and it makes them faster. So, bloody awesome machine here, but and it seems to be.
You were one of the 14 drivers racing tonight who were on the grid in 2013. What was that weekend like 7 years ago?
Well, I was in the Merc, the first year of the Merc, so it wasn't the best weekend for us. We had a lot of overheating issues, but a lot of fun off the track. Austin's one of the best places in the world.
Ended up being a pretty famous weekend, that one. That is an all-time setup. Good luck tonight, mate. Well done on making the Armour All shootout.
Champ, give it a crack in the race.
Here comes Bryce forward. He's becoming something of an Armour All shootout specialist now. He's been in there for all 3, and once again, all 3 Walkinshaw Andretti United cars have been quick enough to make it into the Armour All shootout. Had his first time at Bathurst, disqualified for touching the wall. Got a pretty good lap time in at Spa, where he put it on the second row of the grid. What's he got in store for us tonight at Circuit of the Americas? He was pretty young when the Supercars Championship was running over in 2013 in Texas. He was about 15 years of age back then, so too young to be joining us over there and enjoying the party that was Austin, Texas in 2013.
Sure.
So virtually he's on the grid tonight.
Sure, his parents would have been delighted watching the coverage at 4 a.m. in the morning as he screams towards turn number 1 to begin another lap here. 2 G's of force in the real world as you brake here, but you won't feel that through the sim, so it's a little bit less of a pressure on the driver and on their backside as he heads towards the Essex section. It's a blind entrance. We can see the anti-cut strip there, but you don't see it to the last moments as we watch him through the Dunlop curve.
That's where you really notice the difference between an Indy car or a Formula One car and a big supercar with so much weight to push around in that change of direction. So first sector times, it's pretty close through to the second sector at least.
Lock up there as well through turn 10. It's turn 12 in the Grand Prix circuit, turn 10 for us. We run 2 less corners around here, but he's nailed this traction zone quite well. So despite being purple in the second sector, this could be a strong final sector, and we could see him on provisional pole.
Such a patient part of the racetrack, a very busy part of the racetrack as well. The lead into that last sector. We were talking earlier about Emily Jones and her Macca's track preview that she ran online this morning. She said turns 15 and 16 feel like it has 100 million apexes. I think it's got 1 or 2 less than that for Bryce Ford, but it just goes on and on, that big long right-hander. It's not a bad lap time this from Bryce. Is it good enough for number 1? Can he knock Willpower off the top spot? I think maybe he might have lost the time.
So I pointed at you there and I was confused. I think he cut the corner at the Turkey turn 15-16, right, and he's definitely gone beyond the white lines, and I was confused for a second, but it's official. Fullwood has had an off track as well at the last corner, so that's where we're hearing it too.
So just overstepped the mark, completed the better part of about 4,000 meters of good racetrack, and then it was coming up to the last couple of corners, so potentially too wide at the second last turn. Either way, it was enough to get him disqualified. So unlucky for Bryce Fullwood. Here is the second last corner on the BP Ultimate replay. That part there looks all right.
That looks all right. I think it was at turns 15-16.
Either way, we might be able to check in with him to find out exactly where it went wrong. Hey, Bryce, exactly whereabouts on that lap did you get pinged, do you think?
It was just on the inside of the long right hand of the third last corner.
That's unlucky, buddy. You're still going to be in a relatively good starting spot for tonight, so well done. Thanks for the chat. Very quick one before his Walkinshaw Andretti United teammate steps up to the plate. The Mobile One Appliances Online, Chaz Mostert, number 25. Made that switch to 25 this year. And part of the big move, which was the big talk of the Supercar silly season. Chad is all guessing throughout the course of 2019. Where was Chaz going to be driving? In 2020, he landed at Walkinshaw Andretti United. Really cool story online this week about how focused he is. Very reminiscent of when Mark Scaife was at the squad in the late 90s to early 2000s. And Chaz, starting a lap right now, has been really quick in the BP Ultimate Supercars All-Stars E-Series, particularly in Armour All qualifying. Plugs fourth gear, long right-hander leading up towards turn 3 and through the S's. How close does he get to the anti-cut curbs?
Oh, mate.
It's just about perfect.
That looks
really smooth.
That's awesome. Very fast first sector. Now through the second sector, we'll get his time here on the exit. Hops over the ski jump. We're going to coin it that now officially. And through turn 10. Now, let me tell you something here. He hasn't gone purple through any of his first 2 sectors. Will Powers set a very promising provisional pole benchmark for the moment. It's all about this final sector for Mostert in the Mobile One Appliances Online Racing Holden.
Got a little bit of a Penske versus Andretti shootout at the moment between these two. On current math, he's about 2/10 down, so he lost a little bit through that middle sector, despite the fact that it looked really quick through sector 1. So he's got some time to make up in the back part of this lap.
Oh, lock up. That's going to cost him a lot of time. He's got to get it stopped before the penultimate corner, so it's a legal lap so far, but is it going to be quick? He's stuffed it up at that penultimate corner. Here we come across the line for Mostert.
Chaz goes to third, 1:31.28, and sticks the tongue out and looks a little bit disappointed with that lap time. It was pretty quick through sector 1, amazing through the S's, but shows you how difficult this iRacing simulation is. When a guy like Chaz can struggle to put a lap together in a scenario like that, and that was pretty unlucky. It was just at the end of the lap. Still rocking the blonde hair though, and has improved the diet on last week. He went to a banana, which is slightly healthier than what he was running a few weeks ago. There he is, there's the big smile of Chaz Mostert, and we'll check in for a quick chat. This was your second ever event 7 years ago. What were your memories of Austin, Texas, Chaz?
Yeah, it was obviously my debut year in supercars, so it was pretty exciting to be a young bloke and taking a trip overseas and racing in America with a supercar. So it was pretty awesome. But yeah, I wish we could get back there. It was a pretty wicked track, and one track I didn't get great results on. So I'd love to try and have that opportunity to turn that around one day.
How do you rate that lap just then?
It's tough. It's to compare to qualifying, it feels like the track's a little bit different, or if you sit around, it feels like your brake margin goes away kind of thing. So I have a lot more front lock on that very first run, same as quali, but then, I don't know, it gets better towards the end of the lap, but start lap wasn't that great. But just glad to not get an off track this week, so that was the goal to tick this week.
Well done, mate. Good luck for the racing tonight, as here comes your teammate, Lando Norris from Mobile One Arrow Racing. He cleaned up the iRacing IndyCar race here a couple of weeks ago, making his second start and his second appearance in the BP Ultimate Supercars All-Stars E-Series, and his second appearance in the Armor All Shootout as well. So cool to have this guy back for another run at a circuit where he is very quick at.
Finished 7th here last year in Formula One for McLaren, one of his best results. He used the full Grand Prix layout, obviously, as we mentioned, and he's nailed this S's section. Very smooth. Much smoother than Mostert. I feel like this could be a good time from Norris, but again, not purple through the first sector. Let's have a look at his second sector time.
Good hustle, and he's picked himself up a purple sector. So his huge amount of online fans will be loving this. 18.12 to the second sector. What has Lando Norris got in store? Doesn't let the car run out too wide through turns 11 and 12. Oh, he's short burst up to 13 and 14. Looking very clean so far, Jonathan.
Yeah, he's on it. Not many incidents here in qualifying today. It's good to see. Dr. Carl Lee will be happy about that.
We've got our two wild cards squaring off for potential Armor All pole at Circuit of the Americas. Will Power versus Lando, and he's just about over it at the second last corner. And he's been pinged. You can see the grimace on his face. It was a good lap until that point. Oh, that is a shame. Oh, the frustration for Lando Norris as he cringes with disappointment. That was such a good lap until that point. A 10th off in the first sector, but up to the second sector and on track to potentially knock Will Power off the top, and there wasn't much in it.
You need to keep your left wheels within the white lines, and he's creeped over the limit there. So it's not like IndyCar last year. You've got to adhere to the track limits here, and he knows it straight away. It'll pop up on his screen, and we'll have a chat to him in a moment's time. That's 2 weeks in a row now. He hasn't set a lap in the shootout.
Yeah, that was really, really close. Lando, I hate to catch up into these circumstances again. Last week it was Eau Rouge, and now the second last corner of a lap. What's that disappointment like?
I don't know what to say, really. I don't know why I do it. It's like, you know, I don't even need to do a decent lap. I just need to keep my wheels on the track, and I just failed to. So I'm blaming it on a big tailwind. Tailwind just caught me by surprise.
Rosberg.
Blaming it on that.
Hey, you've got the boss, Zach Brown, joining our Celebrity E-Series. How's he going to go?
Oh, well, I don't know. He's been getting a few laps in, getting a bit of testing in, but he's got a bit of work to do. We had a little fun race in the V8 Silverstone last week, and he might have rode off quite a few cars. So as long as he got a few spare ones in the bank for practice and quali in the race, he'll do all right.
All right, thank you very much, mate. Best of luck, because here comes Scott McLaughlin starting his Armor All Shootout lap. Looking forward to that Celebrity E-Series adventure, which is coming up on Monday night. And hopefully that hashtag Orlando Down Under is doing the rounds on Twitch, Twitter, everywhere else. Now, that was a small lock-up for McLaughlin at the top of the hill. He is the Armor All qualifying genius in the Virgin Australia Supercars Championship, but hasn't claimed an Armor All pole yet in the E-Series.
And good spot there, Chad. He's lost at least a 10th or two from the lock-up. And he's got to get on pole. You know, he's a bit like Fernando Alonso back in 2012 in Formula One. He's very strong in the races, but he's got to sort out qualifying for sure. He's definitely on the limit, the right foot breaker for the Shell V Power Racing team. And now through one of our good overtaking spots during the race today, He's one of the best talents we've seen in Supercars history, and with a purple sector for sector number 2, will he snatch pole position from Will Power? He's got to make it up for it, though, in the final sector, because so far he's not up on the entire lap.
He's just down over the course of 2 sectors, but did make up a big chunk of time through the middle. The car has a little wiggle through the mid part of the corner. Penske versus Penske, like it was this morning on that Verizon Pay It Forward live challenge, where all the Penske drivers are out there bashing around in some old stock cars and late models, and they even had a figure 8 race, I think, this morning, which is pretty cool. But McLaughlin is back in his usual car tonight, the Shell V-Power Mustang. A little bit awkward through the last corner. Does he knock Will Power off the top? Yes, yes he does. Oh, whoa, that's close. That is very close. 0.006 of a second separate one Penske driver in the Northern Hemisphere from another Penske driver in the Southern Hemisphere. And is that going to be enough to take the Armour All pole tonight? Finally, someone knocks Will Power off the top. The 3 Walkinshaw Andretti United drivers tried, but it took a Penske teammate to get the job done. That was a nice lap, but not completely untouchable. That first sector in particular, there was a little bit of time to be made up at turn 1. Got the race face on tonight, and potentially with a couple of purple sectors, got enough to potentially take the Armour All pole for the first of the 3 races tonight. Fellow Kiwi now stepping up in the 97 with the white wheels. One of 4 of the Red Bull Holden Racing team drivers in the field tonight. They've got the full band tonight. Both their co-drivers, Craig Lowndes and Garth Tander, are joining us as wildcards, but there's only one to make the shootout tonight.
And I'm not trying to just be the media and hype up stories for no reason, but this needs to be personal between Gizzy and Anton de Pasquale, our final 2 runners. 4 pole positions for Shane van Gisbergen coming into this round, 5 for ADP. 2 laps to go in our shootout, and here he goes to begin his 90-second trip around the Circuit of the Americas.
It's funny you should say 90 seconds. He needs it to be 90 seconds, not 91. That's the difference we're talking about tonight. 31 flat, the time to beat. It's also a battle of the Kostecki cousins as well, because he's got Kurt Kostecki in his corner as a spotter. And for the next and final man out, Anton de Pasquale, it's Brody Kostecki. So looking forward to seeing how that transpires tonight. He has a little wiggle down the hill.
And he's 2/100ths of a second down on Will Power, who set the best first sector. He is quicker than Scott McLaughlin. Now he's quicker than both of them through the middle sector. Good lap so far from Shane van Gisbergen.
He's up and he's looking quick. His lap at Spa-Francorchamps last week will go down as one of the greatest virtual shootout laps you could ever possibly imagine. Had it been a real shootout, it would have been completely sublime. It was perfect. And he smashed the field by nearly half a second. Biggest pole margin of the year. He's 2 from 2 in Armour All shootouts so far this year. Is he going to do another one here today?
That was very close to cutting the track there. I think he'll be safe, but he looks good for a mid 1 minute 30 here.
He's up through 2 sectors. He's legal through that second last turn. McLaughlin watching on from Queensland. And across the ditch, here comes Shane van Gisbergen. Circuit of the Americas. And the time is good. It's great, as a matter of fact. A 1:30.39. He actually goes quicker than Anton de Pasquale's pole time from earlier today. And that might just be quick enough to beat everybody. Shane van Gisbergen with a cracking lap time. Once again, getting the job done in Armour All qualifying, and might just pick up a hat trick of shootout poles.
He's done it again. What a cracking lap, mate.
Blitzing lap from SVG. Quickest of the night so far. And that might just be the Armour All pole right there. He went 30.47 earlier, and he went quicker than Shane. Well done. Was that the perfect lap time? That was nice and smooth.
Hey, thanks. Yeah, pretty stoked with that. Yeah, just put it together, and again, just tried not to risk the off tracks. But yeah, stoked. The thing hooked up, and now we'll watch Anton, see how he goes.
All right, looking forward to seeing this battle continue on tonight, mate. Thanks for chatting. Enjoy the 3 races tonight. Well, here he is, last man to step up and give us an Armour All shootout lap. Anton de Pasquale. He's on for the Armour All pole in E-Series so far with 5 against Shane van Gisbergen's 4. But if he wants to extend that lead, He's going to have to pull out an almighty lap here because that was just about perfect from Shane van Gisbergen. This is what we love about Armour All shootouts, is he takes a very wide entrance to give him that extra foot of real estate to build up the speed at the start line. Watching this perfect shootout at the end of the day where two drivers square off on the timesheets. Van Gisbergen versus De Pasquale once again for the Armour All pole. Let's go. Just floated the car up towards turn 1.
So deep on the brakes, now through the thrilling turn number 2 here. And this is where I talked about it's blind coming over the crest. You just spot the anti-cut strip right there, and minimal steering input means he's as smooth as possible. And now he cuts off the Grand Prix circuit to the chute, heading to the ski jump.
Nice flow. Second gear, takes the bumps, dives through. Was it legal? Yes, he's still good. Down the back stretch, brake at that second braking marker on the right-hand side. Second gear, double apex right-handers coming up.
2 green sectors though. He just doesn't look quicker than Gizzy right now for pole position. Is our shootout specialist going to score his 3rd Armour All pole in a shootout this season? ADP's got to leave it up to these final few corners. He's got to nail it. He's got to put everything on the line, but not too much, because that'll delete his lap time too.
He's tracking for second place at the moment, unless he finds something really large in this last sector. Driving from Melbourne in Victoria, Anton De Pasquale, part of a 2-car Penrite Racing operation tonight with his teammate Dave Reynolds, fighting for another Armour All pole, and he goes to second with a 1:30.7, comfortably quicker than anyone else, apart from Shane van Gisbergen. It's the Giz on top once again at the Circuit of the Americas. When he raced here in 2013 with Techno, he was pretty quick that weekend, and he's continuing that form 7 years on. Anton will be starting alongside him on the front row, and they have locked out the front row in the last 4 qualifying sessions, so they are just head and shoulders above the rest. But it's your man, Shane van Gisbergen for the Red Bull Holden Racing Team, getting the job done once again. And that is his 3rd pole of the season in a shootout, 6th all up, taking the Armour All pole award. And that was an amazing drive. Sorry, 5 I should say for the season so far. So levelling the ledger at 5 apiece between he and Anton De Pasquale. Nice drive for Shane van Gisbergen. He's your pole man for the first of the 3 races tonight. And that sets it up perfectly. How good is Shane van Gisbergen at executing those shootout laps? Well done to him on locking away pole. We are set to go live with Jess and the boys in Sydney. Thanks for watching Armour All qualifying. You do not want to miss these 3 races. Lando Norris, Will Power, Craig Lowndes. We're about to go live in Sydney.